On this episode of the Turnbuckle, AEW management spoke to Athena and Jody after their reckless match. The Miz reveals he's dealing with a bursa sack. WWE trademarks a new name for an NXT show, and the Jeff Hardy pre-trial hearing has been pushed back again. Folks, it's time to hit a bookend into some wrestling news because it's time for the Turnbuckle. According to Sean Ross Sapp, the two women were approached after the match to make sure everything was fine. There was no confrontation between Athena and Threat after the match was done. Threat had no complaints about the match, and she's trying to avoid backstage politics. Those close to Athena indicated that each woman were approached by management after the match to make sure everything was okay. One source familiar with the situation believed that should have been an opportunity to lead by example as opposed to letting it devolve. Those close to Athena believed that this was the way the match was going to go because of her having to switch to the heel role due to Jody's babyface reaction. We didn't hear of any confrontation or anything of the sort between the two women after the match. It was reiterated to us that not everything is being microanalyzed on social media was a result of this situation. It was reiterated to us that not everything is being microanalyzed. Okay, so the non-microanalyzation is the reason why this is the reason why this situation happened. Is that how I'm reading it? I don't know. We were told that Jody Threat herself didn't complain about how the match went and hasn't spoken on the match, the situation, or indicated anything out of the normal publicly. All we've heard from her side of things is that she's not big on all the attention that emanates from situations such as these, and generally tries to keep her head down to avoid political aspects of wrestling. Good idea. That is a good idea. Okay, in this day and age, you know what? You just go out there, you take your lumps, you stay on the mat for 3 seconds. Okay, you're done, and then you go back. I'm not saying that you have to not make friends, but in the world where everyone's slapping each other up and people are biting each other and stealing people's dogs and stuff, it's like, oh, dogs, oh. In that regard, it makes sense that you're just listen, all right, I've seen what happens when stuff kind of gets a little bit off the rails a little bit. So if it's all the same to you, I'm just gonna go ahead and keep my mouth shut and not really speak too much on this situation. So for those of you who don't know, what is it on AEW Dark? Athena and Jody Threat took each other on in a match, and it's been making the rounds on Twitter that Athena was just a little bit aggressive, just a little bit, not too much. She was throwing elbows, and it was very aggressive, and a lot of people assumed that maybe there was some sort of receipt that Jody Threat was paying for or something, or maybe Athena was just really upset for not being used. I swear I heard that through the grapevine, that was Athena taking her anger out or something. I don't think that was 100% true, but yeah, they were talking about that, and they were a bit worried because they thought that Athena and Jody had a legitimate falling out, I guess. This also coincides with the one tweet. If you didn't see it, I don't know what it is. It's this indie show. It's this big dude, and he triple power bombs this skinny guy, and everybody's like, that's not safe, and oh, he shouldn't be doing that. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna lump them together. If they both know that this is going to happen, and they both say, hey, we are both going to go out and we are both going to engage in this, right? If there is a mutual understanding, I don't think that there's any problem with it. The powerbombing guy, I think that he probably could have done it a little less, aggressively. But if they both, if skinny guy, I don't know their names. The skinny guy went up to big guy and was like, hey man, you're going to triple powerbomb me tonight, right? And then the big guy goes, yes. And the skinny guy goes, okay. It's a small area, right? So if it was a big area, and if it was a big area and then they had the matting, but the matting had what I'm trying to say is, when you're in a big arena, right? A big arena, a lot of people, you can kind of phone it in a little bit because people can't see that well. Not as opposed to you being when they fight next to the crowd, or they're fighting in the crowd, you don't want to whiff past their head right in front of somebody. You want to make it believable. I think what's going on here is, in that regard, in the indie match, right, where big guy was powerbombing the skinny dude, right, the skinny white dude, right, I think that they both, I like to think, right, I don't think that this is true, but this is my most plausible theory, is that they were listen, It's an indie show, right? So people are going to be like more scrunched in, you know what I'm saying? It's going to be like PWG, like they're going to be like inches away from us, right? So we want to like make it look believable. I'm not going to kill you, but we want to make it look believable. I'm not going to like potato you or anything, right? But people are going to have their eyes on us. So it's probably a good rule of thumb to make it look a little bit convincing, you know? You know what I'm saying? So I don't think he went out there and was like, I'm going to fucking paralyze you, you know? But I think that they both had I would like to think that they both had consent in that regard. The same with Athena and Jody. Like, hey, since you're being cheered and I'm not, there's no real point of trying to work the match, because that happens. I don't know how often it happens, but I've heard multiple times matches get called in the ring because the reactions get switched around. So Athena was like, all right, well then I'll just rough you up because they're booing me, so I'll give them a reason to boo me. But I mean, you could argue that maybe is going to give you like mixed reactions. I don't know, to be honest with you. I'm not Athena, so like I said, I'm sure that there was like a consensual, which there had to be, because Jody was like, hey man, nothing happened. I don't have any ill will towards her. I'm just gonna keep my head down and move on, you know. And nobody said, oh, Athena, she had a receipt or anything. So like at the end of the day, I really don't think anything's wrong, you know. Again, so long as there's consent and there's a mutual understanding, right, and there's responsibility and safety, then there's not much we can say. Next, The Miz reveals he's dealing with a bursta. He was scheduled to wrestle Dexter Lumis on WWE Raw this week, but ended up attacking his opponent with a chair before the bell. The match never did end up taking place. Wait, what? Never did end up taking place. Man, I cannot speak, man. God. Like, what is wrong with me? Miz appeared on an episode of the Yahoo Fantasy Football Forecast released on Wednesday and noticed that he was dealing with a bursa sack. Noted. He also revealed... Maybe I'm reading too fast, but then I don't want to read too slow because it's like, God, hurry up. He also revealed his shoulder is a little, quote, messed up. The Miz said, I have a bursa sack that I burst that just keeps blowing up. He said when talking about injuries wrestlers have to deal with, it takes so long and then it'll go away. I don't know if you can see it, literally just keeps coming back. Fluid comes in, it goes away, comes in, goes away. I've messed up my shoulder a little bit, and then you're trying to work through it and trying to make sure you maintain your body and physicality. So if you look up what a bursa sack is, I think that it's the same thing that John Cena had, except Miz has got it in his knee. And if it's in your knee, then it's like, oh. I mean, I would argue okay, so it seems like a joint. It seems like a joint thing. I don't know how it starts. Bursa sack. Maybe it's the thing, right? Like what's it? Carpal tunnel, because you're moving the body part around a lot. Or maybe you're hitting it a lot, you know? So it's called bursitis. Bursitis, not burstitis. It's bursitis. It's a painful condition that affects the small fluid-filled sacs called bursae that cushion the bones, tendons, and muscles near your joints. Bursitis occurs when the bursae becomes inflamed. The most common locations for bursitis are in the shoulder, elbow, and hip, but you can also have bursitis by your knee, heel, and the base of your big toe. Oh, base of your big toe. The most common bursitis often occurs near joints that perform frequent repetitive motion. I told you, it's like carpal tunnel. Well, no, carpal tunnel is when you don't move your wrist, right? When you've got your wrist in like a funky position for too long, that's carpal tunnel. No, yeah. So like if your wrist is like in a fixed place and you're like moving your finger, yeah, if you're like moving, I'll see, but then it's like repetitive motion by your fingers with your wrist in a funky motion. So okay, so it's kind of the same thing. Okay, so that explains why Cena got it in his elbow and The Miz has it in his knee. Well, how come everybody doesn't have bursitis then? Feel achy or stiff, hurt more when you move or press it, looks swollen and red. Consult your doctor if you have disabling joint pain. Okay. Where am I? I'm on Mayo Clinic. Shout out to Mayo Clinic. Alright. You would think a lot more, based on what I'm reading, you would think a lot more wrestlers would have bursitis then. I love this. I learned something today. Bursitis. I didn't even know that was even a thing. I thought that just like happened, you know, like an ingrown. I thought that just happened. I didn't know that there was like an actual name for it. So, yeah, man. I mean, The Miz is working through the same thing. I'm really upset that, he's been going this long without an injury, and now all of a sudden, well, no, this is one of those things that was going to happen one way or another. You know what I mean? I think that, if you're like I don't know. It's going to depend on how you, like, work out or work, right? Because shouldn't this be happening to literally every wrestler? Because they're doing their joints, right? They're doing their knees. They're doing it when they're working out and they're bending and they're slamming and all that. So you'd think it would be on every single wrestler, but maybe there's some sort of treatment or something. Maybe they're like rubbing ice on it. I don't know. Because how come The Miz has it and then Cena had it? How come it took so long for The Miz to get it? And, like, nobody else on the roster has it. Why doesn't Dexter Lumis have it? Speaking of which, that explains a lot about the storyline. I'm not even going to lie. I think that fills in a lot of gaps with the Dexter Lumis storyline, because they've been doing virtually nothing for the last like 3 weeks, and I assume that this is why. Him hitting him with the steel chair, that's probably the most like dynamic the feud has gotten, because other times it's literally just been like Dexter Lumis being spooky and the Miz being like, what's that over there? That's pretty much it. But this is probably the first time that they've actually gotten, like, I'm going to say relatively physical with each other. The Miz being more physical than Lumis, which is ironic. Yeah, so I guess we just got to wait for, just deal with it. Get it away. Okay, hopefully he takes care of that. He said it bursts and then it comes back. That's nasty. I hope it doesn't hurt. Well, it's got to hurt. Look at you seen the size of it? I mean, okay, I'm thinking more of John Cena, so that's how big it can get. I'm assuming it's not getting that big, but I'm assuming it's swollen on his knee, So hopefully he like gets that sorted out, because I can't really say like a speedy recovery, because he's not like debilitated. Well, he is, but like it's clearly not that big of a deal because he's still able to be on TV. He just can't be physical, I guess. So it's like Cena. You just gotta wait and see what happens. Next, WWE trademarks a name for the new NXT show. According to Fightful, WWE filed the trademark NXT deadline on October 16th, 2022. The company filed the trademark for entertainment. Okay, NXT deadline. So that's another pay-per-view that's coming up. I don't know when. And I don't know what it's going to be. Well, wasn't it WWE? And they were like, hey, we're going to do less gimmick pay-per-view. So I think they're just going to be like, okay, NXT deadline. So it's not NXT takeover deadline. Very interesting. It's not NXT takeover deadline. It's just NXT deadline. So I don't know. Because wouldn't it, if that's a pay-per-view, it would have to be takeover. Unless they're taking the takeover out. And now it's takeout. That was a stupid fucking joke. Yeah, I actually don't know what to think now, because at first when I read it, I was like, hey, a new pay-per-view, and then I was like, wait a second, TakeOver should be in there. So now I don't know what it is. All right, we'll have to wait and see. Finally, Jeff Hardy's pre-trial hearing has been pushed back again. AEW roster member Jeff Hardy's pre-trial hearing for his June DUI arrest has been delayed again. Hardy's attorney filed a motion in Volusia County, Florida court Thursday requesting his hearing scheduled for Wednesday be pushed back. Prosecutors agreed, and the new date is now Thursday, November 17th. From the court documents, Hardy's attorney, quote, recently provided extensive mitigation materials to the prosecution and, quote, the parties require additional time to negotiate a potential pre-trial resolution. Hardy was arrested on the morning of June 28th in Florida and was charged with 1 count of DUI, his third offense, and 1 count of driving under suspended/canceled/revoked license, and 1 count of driving while his license was restricted. His plea, he pled not guilty and faces up to 5 years in prison for the main charge, while the others are misdemeanors. He had an initial arrangement. Hold on a second. I have to do this. Arraignment, a formal hearing in which a defendant accused of a crime is brought before the court to plead to the charges against him/her. I don't know how to pronounce it, so that's the best I got. Arraignment hearing pushed back from July and then was canceled in August due to his written plea. The previous pretrial hearing scheduled for August was initially pushed back to today. At the time of this recording, that was 21 hours ago, so yesterday. Okay, so it seems like... Okay, hold on a second. He had an initial arraignment hearing pushed back from July, and then it was canceled in August due to his written plea. But now, requesting his hearing scheduled for Wednesday be pushed back. Prosecutors agreed on the new date. What day is it today? It's Wednesday. No, it's not. It's Thursday. It's Thursday. I'm an idiot. Okay. filed a motion in Volusia County. Okay, I feel like this is gonna go on for a while, but I don't know, because it's November 17th, so hopefully this gets cleared up. Well, it sounds like he's going to jail. It sounds like he's going to jail for 5 years. That's it. They're locking him up and they're throwing away the key for 5 years. I mean, you'd think. Now listen, a lot of you would probably think, oh, he's going to jail for 5 years. This should sober him up. Well, listen, I'm not going to sit here and say that Jeff Hardy is going to just burst out of the jail cell and then start drinking again. But a lot of people in Jeff Hardy's position go through the same type of stuff. Like, they get arrested over and over and over again, and they put themselves in danger, and they get other people in danger. And two things happen. Either it sets them straight and they go, hey, I cannot go through life like this, or it sends them down the path even further because they're like, fuck, look what I'm doing with my life, look at me, and they get more depressed, which causes them to drink more because they get that thought of like, oh, I'm already down here, I might as well just keep going. Now, I'm not speaking for everyone, okay, but without saying too much, I've had experience in this, okay. It sends them down a path where it's like, well, I'm already like here, so what's the point? Why bother, But I doubt that Jeff Hardy's going to do that, I hope he doesn't. I'm not gonna say that he is, but you'd think after years and years, right, he wouldn't go back to doing it again, You'd think after all those years of fucking WWE prodding him about it and, him trying to get his life on track, being with a new company and everything, you'd think that he wouldn't even have done it in the first place. You'd think he wouldn't even have done it at all. He should have never done that. Wasn't he on his way to like a surgery for his brain or something? He was on his way for like a neurological checkup or something. You'd think if that was the case, he wouldn't do it. So I don't know where the line gets drawn, if I'm going to be totally honest with you. You'd think that would be enough. But it's not, and for some people, it's not nearly enough, So let's be honest here. Let's call a spade a spade. I'm not Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy, like I said, could literally burst out of the jail and go right back to drinking again. We have no idea. It's really a test for Jeff Hardy. It's a test to Jeff Hardy's character. Like, hey, are you actually going to stop doing this? We genuinely don't know, and we can't make that speculation right now. What do we talk about? AEW management spoke to Athena and Jody threat after their reckless match. Yes, it was reckless. And yes, Jody could have gotten hurt. And yes, it sent the wrong message, right, to everybody involved. But again, it was consensual. And Athena and Jody don't hate each other. And so far, at the time of this recording, I haven't heard anything about big man versus the skinny white dude. So, and I shouldn't say that. But I'm saying by comparison, he wasn't like super jacked and all that. Well, the point is that unless it comes out that any of those four competitors genuinely have beef with each other, I don't think we need to speculate. The Miz is wrestling. Well, he's not wrestling, but he's dealing with a Barca sack. I hope that gets sorted out. And that explains the Dexter Lumis storyline kind of being like a wet blanket, not like bad, but definitely could be better. WWE files a trademark name for the new NXT show. Yeah, it sounds like a show and not so much like a pay-per-view. It sounds like they're going to do something on NXT and call it that. We'll have to see. And then Jeff Hardy's pre-trial hearing has been pushed back again. So it's being pushed back to November 17th. I'm not going to sit here and say that this is doing something and it's not doing anything. I don't know. I have no idea. I cannot sit here and say anything of this or that. I don't actually know. So yeah, that got pushed back to the 17th, and his initial arraignment hearing got pushed back from July, and then was canceled in August due to his written plea. So it sounds like he's going to jail. Jeff's going to jail. Jeff's going to jail. Jeff's going to jail. Jail. You know what I'm saying? So it sounds like that. And I guess we're going to have to wait. We're really going to have to see if this 5 years is going to be enough for Jeff to be like, I'm never going to touch stuff ever again. Folks, that's going to do it for this episode. I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode, because I certainly enjoyed making it. We're just going to do this one, and I'll definitely catch you guys in the next one.